Should we call you doctor? Should we call you Katherine? What do you like to go by?
Catherine's fine. You can call me Katherine.
Dr. Katherine Ramsland, an expert in serial killers who teaches at DeSales University in Pennsylvania. We're learning one of her students was Bryan Kohberger, the man now charged with murdering 4 University of Idaho students. I'm Angenette Levy, and welcome to this special edition of Law and Crime Sidebar podcast. 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger is being held without bail at the Monroe County Jail in Pennsylvania on those murder charges. He was arrested at his parents' home on Friday morning just before 2 a.m. Moscow police say they seized a 2015 white Elantra but have offered few other details. Kohberger faces 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary and will have to be extradited to Idaho to face charges for the murders of Kaylee Gonsalves, Maddie Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. Police executed a search warrant at Kohberger's apartment in Pullman, Washington, Friday. Kohberger was a Ph.D. student at Washington State University, studying criminal justice and criminology. Washington State University is about 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho, where those murders were committed on November 13th. A spokesperson for the university said Kohberger had just completed his first semester in the program. Before WSU, Kohberger was a master's student at DeSales University in Pennsylvania, and one of his professors was Dr. Katherine Ramsland. She teaches classes in serial killers. She's a forensic psychologist, and she has actually appeared on some of Law and Crime's podcasts, including Sidebar and Coptales and Cocktails. This is what she told Sean Stix Larkin about her work earlier this year.
I actually consult on death investigations. I do police trainings. I talk about profiling and psychological autopsy, which is really about suicidology. So I have a whole class just in that. And I have a class in dangerous minds that I teach at the undergraduate and graduate level. And that is really about extreme offenders, which is mass murderers, spree killers, and serial killers. So that's primarily what I do most of my work on, and most of what the students want from me. That class fills up very quickly.
I actually spoke with a student who was in that serial killer class with Bryan Kohberger, and he told me that Kohberger often interrupted Dr. Ramsland, talking over her as if he knew more about the subject matter than she did. Now, in that interview with Sean Stix Larkin, Dr. Ramsland talked a little bit more about how she became interested in studying serial killers.
It chose me more than I chose it, but I love it. I think it's really interesting, and I'm constantly finding new ideas, new motivations. You know, we have formulas related to serial killers, but for example, I spent 5 years talking with Dennis Rader, the BTK serial killer, because he defies many of the formulas. So I thought that was interesting. I wanted to know more about that. And I think I'm always looking for the outliers rather than the ones that fit the mold. I want to see the ones that don't fit the mold and how did they get to be the way they are. And in psychology, as opposed to criminology, we're looking more at the cases, the individual details of someone's life story and the trajectory, basically. Whereas in criminology, you're looking more at groups and trends and statistics and things like that. I'm much more interested in just the case details. So that's why I like talking to people who are willing to explore how they got to be the way they are. And, you know, I can spend many hours doing that. So I didn't choose it, but I'm really happy I'm in this field.
Ramsland also spoke with Coptales and Cocktails about talking with serial killers face-to-face and through letters.
I assume in your career you've come face-to-face with a lot of these gentlemen, correct?
Yeah, not I'm like, you can't just go into prisons and come face-to-face with them. But yeah, I've talked to them on the phone, through correspondence, sometimes in prison.
Have you ever gotten that just like, this is just pure evil? This guy is just, there's nothing
I have a
human
hard
about
time with the word evil.
Okay,
frankly,
gotcha. All right.
Because it's kind of a religious context.
Okay.
Have I come face to face with psychopaths? Absolutely. The coldness, the lack of remorse, definitely. So some people, some people call that evil, but we are finding that it might very well be a brain disorder.
Huh.
Neuroscience is giving us a lot of information about the brains of psychopaths, and they do process things differently. They have very shallow emotional connections. Is it something they're born with? If so, that's a different story.
As you can imagine, we want to talk to Dr. Ramsland about her experience teaching Bryan Kohberger. We reached out to her, and she said that she is not making any statements at this time. That's it for this edition of Law and Crime's Sidebar podcast. It is produced by Sam Goldberg and Michael Deininger. Bobby Szoke is our YouTube manager. Alyssa Fisher is our booking producer. And Kira Bronson handles our social media. You can listen to and download Sidebar on Apple, Spotify, and Google, and wherever else you get your podcasts. And of course, you can always watch it on Law and Crime's YouTube channel. I'm Angenette Levy, and we will see you next time.